Buenos dias! I've decided to read this book. It's all about demonstrative adjectives and pronouns. In Spanish, as in English, demonstrative adjectives are words that demonstrate or point out nouns. Demonstrative adjectives come before the nouns they modify. Like other Spanish adjectives you've studied, they agree with those nouns in gender and number. Look at these examples.
Esta camisa. Ese vendedor. Aquellos zapatos.
Let's take a look at the three sets of demonstrative adjectives first, and then we'll talk about when to use each one.
Este, esta, estos, estas. Ese, esa, esos, esas. Aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas.
Este, esta, estos, and estas are used to point out things that are close to both the speaker and the listener.
Me gustan estos zapatos.
Ese, esa, esos, and esas are used to point out things that aren't close to the speaker, but they might be close to the listener.
Prefiero esos zapatos.
Aquel, aquella, aquellos, and aquellas point out things that are far away from the speaker and the listener.
Aquel auto es de mi hermana.
Now, how about giving this activity a try? Muy bien! Let's move on. Demonstrative pronouns are the same as the demonstrative adjectives, but traditionally they have an accent on the stressed vowel. Psst! The stressed vowel is always an E. The Real Academia no longer requires this accent, but it's still commonly used to distinguish demonstrative pronouns from demonstrative adjectives. Here are the demonstrative pronouns with the accents.
Este, esta, estos, estas. Ese, esa, esos, esas. Aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas. ¿Quieres comprar este suéter? No, no quiero este. Quiero ese. ¿Vas a leer estas revistas? Sí, voy a leer estas. También voy a leer aquellas.
Atención! Like demonstrative adjectives, demonstrative pronouns agree in gender and number with the corresponding noun.
Este libro es de Pablito. Estos son de Juana.
There are three neuter demonstrative pronouns: esto, eso, and aquello. They refer to unidentified or unspecified things, situations, and ideas. They don't change form, and they never have an accent.
¿Qué es esto? Eso es interesante. Aquello es bonito.
So, let's recap. You learned the demonstrative adjectives and pronouns. You learned how to use demonstratives to talk about this, that, and that one over there. Ese hombre es Miguel de Cervantes. Y esa estatua es de Don Quijote, la creación de Cervantes. Te toca a ti. Here's one last check to make sure you understand.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about demonstrative adjectives and demonstrative pronouns. So first of all, what are they? In English, they're words like this, that, or that over there, or this one, that one, or that over there. In Spanish, demonstrative adjectives are listed there. Este, esta, estos, estas, ese, esa, esos, esas, aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas. And what do they tell us? They give us some information about the distance that an object might be. If I say this book, you have an idea of how close that book is to me versus that book all the way over there. So in Spanish, we have several more choices than we do in English when we're choosing which demonstrative adjective or pronoun we need. We need to think about two things. Is the object we're talking about masculine or feminine? And is it singular or plural? And then we also do need to think about how close it is to us. So over here, there's a diagram. If this is me, yo, something that's close enough for me to touch would be in the este circle. And think about the T and este being for touch. If I can touch it, it's this. A little bit further away would be ese. So I can point to it and you can be pretty sure of what it is that I'm pointing to. And aquello or aquel, that's all the way across the room or across the field or pretty far away. I can't accurately point to it without needing to explain a little bit more. So it's pretty far away. So in Spanish, you think about the word that you're talking about. In this case, anillo. If we just want to talk about the position of one ring, we would use this column, the singular column. And then it's, can I touch the ring? Este anillo. Is it a little bit further away? Ese anillo. Or is it all the way across the room? Aquel anillo. If we're talking about more than one ring or more than one anything, we need to use the plural demonstrative adjectives. Estos anillos, esos anillos, aquellos anillos. If the thing we were talking about was feminine, then we're going to do the same thing, except now we have the feminine adjectives. So one other example. If you're standing here, the closest ball to you would be esta pelota. The second furthest away, esa pelota. And the one that's pretty far away, aquella pelota. So when you're thinking about what you use, you always have to think about, is the thing that I'm using masculine or feminine, singular or plural, and then think about how close it is to you. So what about demonstrative pronouns? They're pretty close. They keep a lot of the same ideas, except in English, a lot of times we say something like this. Which do you want? That one. So that little guy isn't saying that ring or that ball or that book, just that one, because the subject is clear. Perhaps this guy had already asked, which lollipop do you want? Well, I want that one. So we can do the same thing in Spanish when the subject is clear. We can use demonstrative pronouns rather than the adjectives. And the way we do it is the same. If the thing that we're talking about is masculine, we need one of the masculine demonstrative pronouns. The thing we're talking about is feminine, one of the feminine ones. If it's one thing we're referring to, we'll be in the singular column, and if it's more than one thing, the plural. The only difference now, instead of saying este libro, we just say este, and we throw an accent on it. If we want to say that one and referring to a shirt, esa. And with the accent, we don't need to say esa camisa. So the only difference between demonstrative adjectives and demonstrative pronouns are that demonstrative adjectives do not have accents, but are always followed by whatever thing it is that you're referring to. And demonstrative pronouns do all have accents on the first letter, but you don't need the item right after your pronoun. And the accents are super important. Think about if we didn't put this accent here on this E and instead we put it on the A, it's no longer a demonstrative pronoun. Now it's a conjugation of a star. So be very careful where you put your accents and if you need them. So just to recap, demonstrative pronouns or demonstrative adjectives we use right in front of the thing that we're talking about, and we use them to refer to the distance of an item. Demonstrative pronouns do the same thing, except we don't need to use the item in the sentence. ¿Cuál camisa quieres? Esta. This shirt.